The New York Knicks are walking into the 2026-27 season wearing a title this city has been starving for, and their opening night at Madison Square Garden is already shaping up to be one of the most unforgettable evenings this league has ever put on. Think about that for a second. Not just a big night for New York, a night the entire NBA will be watching. The opponent for that very first game is the Philadelphia 76ers, a franchise that went through a serious facelift over the summer. We will get to why that matchup is so spicy in a moment. But here is the thing. The real headline of that evening has nothing to do with the basketball itself. It has everything to do with what could go down before the ball is even tipped. Because the Knicks are sitting in a position to raise not one, but two championship banners on the very same night. And that is something that has never ever been done in the entire history of the NBA. Let that sink in. Hey, what is up everyone? Before we dive into all of this, that like button sitting right there is what decides whether this video reaches hundreds of people or thousands of people. 1 single second, that is all it takes. But the impact on this channel is massive. So go ahead and smash that like button right now. Every single like pushes this video further. Hit it, and let us get into it. Every championship team gets its moment under the lights. The pre-game ring ceremony, the crowd rising to its feet, that banner slowly climbing toward the rafters. It is a ritual as old as the league itself, and it never gets old. The players stand out there on the hardwood in brand new uniforms. The coaching staff watches from the sideline, trying to soak it in. The whole arena goes pitch black. Then the spotlight finds the banner, and the entire building explodes. It is one of the most powerful, goosebump-inducing moments in all of professional basketball. And the Knicks are about to live it for the first time since 1973. 53 years, half a century of waiting. There are grandparents in that building who were kids the last time this happened. But New York could stack another layer on top of that tradition. A layer no other franchise in league history has ever managed to pull off. The Knicks are the only team ever to capture both the NBA championship and the Emirates NBA Cup in the same season, which means, technically speaking, they have two completely legitimate title banners they could send up into those rafters under one roof on one single evening. No team has ever stood where they are standing right now, and no team may ever stand there again. That fact alone makes this conversation worth having in a serious way. Now, the NBA Cup banner situation comes with a backstory worth revisiting. When the Knicks grabbed that in-season tournament crown back in 2025, head coach Mike Brown made one thing crystal clear. The organization would not be hanging that banner inside Madison Square Garden. And his reasoning was direct, deliberate, and honestly kind of cold-blooded in the best way. This team had exactly one real goal: winning an NBA Finals championship and putting that banner inside the most iconic arena in basketball. Winning the NBA Cup was meaningful, Brown admitted. Nobody was pretending otherwise. But it was not the destination. It was proof. Evidence that this group was headed in the right direction. Hanging a banner for it felt premature, almost like celebrating at mile 20 of a marathon when the bigger prize was still out there waiting to be claimed. Well, guess what? 8 months later, that bigger prize has been claimed. The Knicks took down the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games to win the 2026 NBA Finals, with Jalen Brunson walking away with Finals MVP honors after a dominant run through the entire postseason. The city partied. Madison Square Garden shook. And now, with the dust settled and the off-season in full swing, the big question is this. Should New York circle back to that NBA Cup banner decision and honor both achievements on opening night? And if you are enjoying this breakdown, hit subscribe because we cover the Knicks every single day here, all off-season long. The argument in favor carries serious weight. By refusing to raise the Cup banner in the moment, the organization chose restraint. Restraint with a purpose. They basically said out loud, the bigger goal has not been reached yet, so we will wait. Well, now it has been reached. Going back to acknowledge that first trophy would not look like overreach or banner inflation. It would look like completion, like closing the loop. The Knicks pulled off something that had literally never been done before. And an opening night at the Garden is the perfect stage to honor the full scope of that in front of their own people. If you earned it, you hang it. And then there is another ingredient that makes this opening night feel bigger than just about any other in recent memory. LeBron James. Yes, that LeBron James. The man who spent years passing on the Knicks during multiple free agency windows, openly brushing the franchise aside on more than one occasion, reportedly had his camp reach out to New York this past offseason about a potential move. And the Knicks said no. Read that again. The Knicks said no to LeBron. That is a plot twist. Knicks fans could not have dreamed up even a few years ago, and it carries enormous symbolic weight heading into a season where James will now be wearing a 76ers jersey and walking into Madison Square Garden as a visitor. For a fan base that watched James skip over their city again and again, then watched him downplay the franchise in public for years, the mental image of him sitting in that building as a guest while the Knicks lift their championship banner is already powerful enough. Now add a second banner into that picture. The NBA Cup title that James and his camp had zero part in, and the moment hits on a whole different level. It would be the complete picture. A team that turned down the legend, raised 2 banners without him, and did it in front of the entire league on night 1. You could not script it better. Madison Square Garden has waited 53 long years for a championship celebration. The night it finally arrives could go down as the most layered, most historically loaded opening ceremony the NBA has ever witnessed. If the Knicks choose to honor both titles on the same evening, they would be creating a moment no other franchise can copy, because no other franchise has ever earned the right to even try. Championship windows are rare. Moments like this come around once in a generation, if they come around at all. New York would be smart to recognize exactly what they are holding and squeeze every last drop out of opening night. Drop a comment below and tell me. Should the Knicks raise both banners on the same night, or keep the cup banner in storage? Now let us shift gears, because the Knicks have a decision to make this offseason that will shape the direction of this franchise for the next several years, and early signs suggest they may be a lot closer to making it than most people realize. Karl-Anthony Towns is eligible for a contract extension this summer, and the signals coming from both sides point toward a deal getting done without much drama at all. Center depth has dominated the Knicks off-season conversation. The team spent a serious chunk of the summer chasing backup options at the position, with names popping in and out of trade talks every week. Against that backdrop, locking in one of the very best centers in the league for the long haul is not just smart business. It is the most logical starting point for any plan this organization hopes to build. Secure the foundation first, then worry about the furniture. Towns, who turned 31 this past spring, is coming off a championship run alongside Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Michael Bridges. And the hunger to stay with a winning organization is reportedly very real. SNY insider Ian Begley weighed in publicly, and his read was refreshingly straightforward. If he had to guess, the two sides get a deal done. His reasoning? Towns genuinely loves playing in New York. There might be scenarios where he could squeeze more money out of another team as a free agent next summer. But walking away from a championship environment, in a city where he has put down real roots, would be an incredibly tough decision to justify. And here is a little insider media secret for you. Begley being willing to say this out loud is telling all by itself. Reporters with genuine access to team sources do not broadcast optimism unless there is a solid foundation underneath it. They protect their credibility like it is gold. There is also a quiet signal hiding in what is not being said. When contract negotiations start heading toward a cliff, information leaks. That is just how this league works. Player representatives plant stories to squeeze the front office. Front offices leak their limits to manage fan expectations. It is a chess match played through the media. The fact that absolutely none of that is happening between Towns and the Knicks tells you the relationship remains in a healthy place, and that both sides are rowing toward the same shore rather than away from each other. From Towns' side of the table, the math is not complicated. He plays in the most visible basketball market in the country, for a team that just won it all, surrounded by teammates who fit his game as well as any group he has ever played with. The bond he has built with this city and this locker room is something money alone cannot recreate. Yes, he has earned the right to demand top dollar. But the environment he is sitting in has a value that never shows up on a contract sheet. From the Knicks' side, the logic is just as airtight. Continuity is nearly impossible to manufacture in today's league. The group that captured the 2026 championship did not come together by accident. It was built through years of careful, calculated roster moves, and tearing it apart now just to shave money off Towns' extension would be flat-out short-sighted. The second apron rules have made it harder than ever for teams to keep depth while paying their stars market value. No question about it. But the Knicks understand the math well enough to know that Towns' presence on this roster is worth far more than whatever discomfort his salary creates on the balance sheet. And there is a broader point that deserves attention. The unique goodwill Towns enjoys in New York. He plays in front of a fan base and a media market famously not known for patience toward players who go through rough stretches. Ask around the league. New York can chew players up. Yet Towns, even during his difficult moments, has been given a level of grace that other stars in other situations might never receive. If the Knicks let him walk and bring in somebody new who hits a cold streak, there is zero guarantee that new guy gets the same treatment. Keeping Towns removes that risk entirely and protects the emotional continuity that championship teams quietly depend on. The smart play here is speed. Every week that goes by without a signature creates room for uncertainty to creep in, and uncertainty is poison for a defending champion. The championship glow around this organization right now is a genuine negotiating asset. Towns should want to lock in his security. The Knicks should want to erase the distraction. Nobody benefits from letting this drag into the regular season. Now, the off-season contract market has served up a fascinating point of comparison for the Knicks as they stare down one of the most important financial decisions in franchise history. The Cleveland Cavaliers just handed Donovan Mitchell a monster extension, with his salary climbing all the way to $75.5 million in the final year of that deal. Yes, you heard that number right. $75.5 million for one season. That figure has raised eyebrows around the league, and it puts Cleveland in an extraordinarily tricky spot as they try to build a competitive roster around a player at that price point, all while juggling commitments to other key pieces, including Evan Mobley. The Knicks are watching all of this unfold very closely, because Jalen Brunson's own extension is looming. Brunson becomes eligible for a new deal next summer, and let us be clear, paying him is not a question, it is an inevitability. But the Mitchell comparison is genuinely instructive, and it favors the Knicks and their star guard in every meaningful way. Start with what Brunson has already proven. This man took a significant pay cut on his last contract to help the Knicks keep their roster together. Think about how rare that is in modern professional sports. That sacrifice, made when he had every right to demand more money, was a direct investment in this organization's ability to build a championship-caliber team, and it paid off. Spectacularly. The Knicks won the 2026 NBA Finals. Brunson was named Finals MVP. He carried this team through one of the most pressure-packed postseason runs in franchise history and delivered at every stage. By the time his next contract lands on the table, he will be able to say something almost no player who takes less money ever gets to say. It worked, and he has the ring to prove it. Mitchell, by comparison, has never even reached the NBA Finals. Let us be fair, he is a genuinely gifted player and a legitimate franchise cornerstone. Nobody is disputing that. But his resume does not include a championship at any level of his professional career. Paying a player $75.5 million a year who has not proven he can drag a team to a title is a fundamentally different kind of bet than paying a player who just stood on the podium clutching the Larry O'Brien trophy with Finals MVP hardware around his neck. Cleveland is betting on potential. The Knicks, when they pay Brunson, will be paying for achievement already delivered. That is the difference between buying a lottery ticket and cashing a winning one. Now, the second apron complications will be very real for both franchises. No sugarcoating that. The modern collective bargaining agreement has made roster building brutally difficult for teams that push into that territory, and the Knicks are already navigating a complicated salary structure with multiple high-priced players locked in. Adding Brunson's max extension will tighten those constraints even further. There will be hard calls ahead. About depth, about trade flexibility, about how to add pieces around the core without tripping thresholds that trigger increasingly punishing restrictions. These are not small challenges. Front offices across the league are still learning just how unforgiving those rules can be. But the difference between the Knicks situation and the Cavaliers situation comes down to one thing. Who is standing at the center of the deal? With Brunson, New York is paying a proven champion who has already shown that he is willing to sacrifice for the organization. The discount he took, the trust he placed in management, the title run that validated all of it. That creates a foundation of goodwill that makes the financial commitment feel completely different. The last time Brunson was in position to demand full market value, he chose New York, and he chose less. That choice has now been repaid with something no contract number can match: an NBA championship and a Finals MVP trophy. So the next time he sits down at that table, nobody in the room will have a legitimate argument against paying him exactly what he is worth. He earned that right on the floor, in the biggest moments, when the games mattered most. Paying Jalen Brunson is not a gamble. It is not a leap of faith. It is the straightforward consequence of a player doing everything he was asked to do, and then some. The Knicks will pay him. The Knicks should pay him. And when they do, it is going to be one of the easiest contract decisions this organization has ever made, whatever cap headaches come along for the ride. There is one more dimension worth your attention. When a player of Mitchell's caliber signs a contract of that size and the team around him fails to deliver, the backlash is brutal, and the franchise can spend years digging out of the cap damage. Cleveland needs everything to break right. Mobley's development, role player production, health across the roster. For that deal to feel justified in its final years, the margin for error is basically zero. With Brunson, the Knicks start from a position of strength. He has already proven it at the highest level. The core around him is established. Mike Brown has shown he can squeeze the maximum out of this group. And the front office, led by Leon Rose, has shown the vision and the patience to build a champion the right way. Piece by piece, without panicking, without shortcuts. That is the state of your New York Knicks heading into a season unlike any other. Two banners potentially rising on one historic night. A big man ready to commit his future to the city. And a Finals MVP about to get every penny he has earned. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you are a real one. So do me one last favor. Smash that like button if you have not already. Hit subscribe so you never miss a Knicks breakdown, and drop your take in the comments. 2 banners or 1? I will see you in the next video. Let us go Knicks.